Most truckers don't get pulled aside for level 1 DOT inspections because they're doing something illegal. They sometimes get pulled in because of one assumption they don't even know that they're making sometimes. And if you've been driving trucks long enough, there's a great chance that you might be making this same assumption as well. And what's crazy is that this assumption can make a normal interaction with DOT inspectors turn into a full-blown level 1 DOT inspection before you even realize what's going on. My name is Cole, I'm a state DOT cop, and I am not here to scare you. I'm not here to do the DOT is out to get you thing. I'm just here to explain the real-life reality and how these roadside interactions play out and what you can do to maximize your chances of being just fine. This way you can protect your time, your record, you can save money, violations, and most importantly, you can keep your day moving. And if you're a trucker out there that really wants the truth and not just some myths, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because I drop videos every single week with the truth and to help you stay in the know, stay compliant, and again, stay rolling. Here's a quick real life story to set the tone before we fully jump into the video and really talk about that assumption, because that assumption that I'm going to tell you about plays directly into this story. Alright, so I'm at a detail just like any other DOT inspection detail. It was a smooth day, nothing crazy was even happening. Traffic is moving, trucks are rolling in, the usual. Then a truck rolls in that on paper it looks smooth. Like looking at the truck, it looks smooth too. Nothing was obviously unsafe. Nothing was obviously out of compliance. There was no big smoke billowing. The driving behavior was normal as well. If you're a driver watching this, you'd probably think, okay, that sounds like a normal truck. It should probably just keep rolling. But something about this driver made me go, yeah, pull him in. And no, it's not because of who the driver is and if I knew them personally or not. What this driver was doing as he was driving by the weigh station, or the scale house, should I say, this driver did not slow down, but instead he held both of his thumbs up as he was driving by and didn't even attempt to brake, which leads me into the big assumption point. And yes, I pulled him aside because he was broadcasting something without probably not even realizing it. And before I tell you exactly what it is, I need you to understand as a driver the big point of this video. It's the assumption, and the assumption is this: if nothing is wrong, I won't get inspected. That right there, I'm telling you, it is a trap. Because unfortunately, DOT does not work exactly like how many truckers' brains work. Many truckers out there think that it's like a light switch. They think that DOT inspections are either, okay, you pass or you fail. And that's not really how it goes. There are point systems and violations and such. We all know roadside DOT inspections are not based on just a pass-fail. Many times out here, it's like the process of escalation. And this assumption, I'm good, so everything else should be fine, is exactly how a normal DOT inspection turns into a longer DOT inspection. And I want to be fair, this assumption that if everything that passed was fine, then it's fine now, it makes sense, right? Because if you've been doing this a long time, you build that confidence up. You have very high confidence. You've been through countless stops that were super quick. You've passed inspections before. You keep your truck really squared away all the time. Your paperwork is squared away and you always try to do the best thing as much as you can. So your brain subconsciously says, well, why would I get picked? I shouldn't be the problem. I'm never the problem. And to be fair, most of the time you would be correct. But here's the part a lot of drivers don't always understand. DOT doesn't only look for the worst truck on the road. They look for other trucks as well. They look for risk, they look for signals, and they look for opportunities to verify compliance. And that goes for everybody, not just the trucks that are physically beat up driving down the interstate. And that doesn't mean that DOT officers are thinking that you're a bad person. It simply just means that it's their job to confirm what's true and just not to assume. So if you drive into a roadside DOT inspection assuming that everything is fine and that everything is already decided in your favor, you can accidentally feed that process. Now remember that truck that we talked about earlier where the driver had his thumbs up and he was speeding through the scales because in his mind everything was good. Back to that truck. So the driver pulls in with his thumbs up. He looks calm, he looks confident, but because of that action of him assuming he was good with his thumbs up and how he kept driving, I had him pull aside for an inspection and just for me to talk to him, see what was going on. Now upon talking to the driver, he wasn't rude, he wasn't nervous, he was actually pretty polite. He then said to me, this should be quick, right? Because I'm always good, I've been inspected a lot, and this is almost a newer truck. This driver didn't do anything illegal right away, but he did pretty much 3 major things that signaled to me that he was really complacent. And again, these aren't necessarily violations, but these are just signals. And those signals can sometimes change how an inspection unfolds. Signal number 1 was that complacent body language. So don't roll through a detail with your thumbs up and while never taking your foot off the brake. Sometimes it does not end well for you. Now, some people hear that and say, oh, here we go again, DOT pulling people over for vibes. But no, I'm not talking about vibes. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that body language can a lot of times show whether a driver is there, present, or even aware. Because let's be real, many drivers are on autopilot. I'm not saying that this is a good or bad, but when you're driving that truck, you have to be aware. When you pull into an inspection, you gotta be aware. And you can't assume that everything's gonna be good and you're always gonna be waved through. This driver was moving like someone who knew the outcome already. Because again, again, he figured he'd be good because he was inspected many times in the past, and he was also waved through many times in the past as well. When I asked him for all of his documents, usual license, registration, insurance card, and shipping papers, he moved really slowly. He had no sense of urgency because he hadn't been inspected in a long time, and there it is, he got really complacent. So his paperwork was legit all over the place. And again, nothing illegal about moving slow. But when you combine slow movement with the mindset of, oh, I should be good, I'm always good, or I always get waved through, it makes a stop in the whole DOT inspection feel like maybe the driver isn't engaged, or maybe other things have fell by the wayside because one, they haven't been inspected in a really long time, or two, they completely expect the thumbs up or the wave on through. If you're engaged at all times, you honestly can catch small things really early. If you're not engaged, you miss things, like small things. And remember what we always say on this channel, when you miss small things and DOT inspectors find it, it then leads to, well, what else is messed up if this three things are messed up? Signal number 2 is what I like to call the sentence that changes everything. I slightly touched on this before, but the signal number 2, this driver actually came out and said, I've never had an issue before, so everything should be good. Again, this can be another problem sentence. So many drivers out there say this like it's a shield, like it's proof. But that sentence doesn't necessarily prove anything about that present time. And I want you to think about this. If your truck, yes, you watching this video right now, if your truck is clean today, great. If your logs are correct today, great. If your paperwork is correct today, great. But remember, the roadside DOT inspection is not always just about all of your history. It also is mainly about today and the present. So if you just got inspected 4 months ago and your paperwork was squared away 4 months ago, again, that's fantastic, but the stop is about today and what can be verified right now. So when the driver leans on, well, I've never had an issue, instead of here's what I've verified today and here's what I've pre-tripped and double-checked today, then it signals something. It signals that the driver is possibly operating off of comfort and complacency rather than off of verification. Let me say this plainly, there is no safe profile. There are drivers with clean trucks that get pulled in, there are drivers with brand new equipment that get pulled in, and there are owner operators who take great pride in their rigs who get pulled in. Because as much as people think all DOT inspections are about punishment, it's really about confirmation. So sometimes I may ask a trucker a question and I don't want to say they get offended, but they feel like I'm not believing them. But I say this is all a verification and clarification process. Someone may not mean to be lying, but they can say something that they genuinely believe, then I get back to my computer and it's the complete opposite. And this has happened before. Signal number 3 is what I like to call the assumed scope. This is the big one, so to speak. This is when drivers assume that when they get stopped for DOT inspection, like, hey, this is going to be a quick interaction. This is just a simple check and this DOT inspection will never go deeper because it never does. So this driver that I talked about earlier, whenever I asked him any follow-up questions, his answers were fine, but they just weren't backed by readiness. He was not prepared for the interaction to expand, and I can tell. Because if I asked him like an initial question, he was okay with answering, but then if I asked a follow-up question, he would stumble because he didn't expect any more questions. Again, assuming the scope. And listen closely, because here, this is where assumptions can turn into bigger holdups on the roadside. A lot of inspections don't always start at a level 1 inspection, but throughout interaction and throughout seeing things on a rig and with paperwork and other things, it can turn into a level 1 inspection. So in other words, things can become a level 1 if a bunch of small things justify it. If a DOT inspection begins and everything is crisp, I'm talking the rig, the paperwork, the driver, and communication, they're all squared away, there may be no reason to really go deeper than that. But if a stop begins and the driver is on straight up autopilot and a bunch of small things start popping up, it does become reasonable to verify more and to possibly change that to a level 1 DOT inspection. So this is how the escalation of a DOT inspection really works. And when I say that, all I'm saying is that this is how something goes from a level 3 to a level 2 to possibly a level 1. This is important, so you might want to listen closely, if you want the secret sauce at least. Here's a concept that drivers need to understand. A DOT interaction is like a staircase. You don't jump from the bottom step to the top step instantly. You walk up step by step. We all know that by now. A question usually leads to another question. A quick check can lead to a deeper check. A small inconsistency can lead to more verification processes. And I want to be clear, this staircase does not mean that the officer is out to get you. It means the system is really built and designed to verify compliance when there's a good reason to. And the assumption, well, hey, nothing's wrong, so nothing's gonna happen, is basically you, the driver, forgetting that verification does exist. You're assuming nobody will check, but the whole job is basically just rechecking information, even if that information has been correct with that same driver in the past. If you're getting value out of this video so far, please hit that subscribe button so that this video gets pushed out to a lot more truckers and drivers just like you, because I want them to stay squared away. I post these videos because truckers deserve to hear it straight, they deserve to be educated, and they deserve to know about the other side of the trucking industry, DOT enforcement. This channel isn't about about fear mongering. There are no guessing games and myths here, just real explanations so that you can protect your career and keep moving. Now let's get back to the video and talk about something that many drivers get wrong about this whole topic. Now here's what many drivers get wrong. They think the consequence is always, oh man, I'm gonna get a ton of violations and I'm gonna get shut down. No, a lot of times the consequences, your time gets eaten, your stress may go up, your anxiety may go up, your day gets delayed, and you get checked deeper than you expected. Even if you pass everything fine, you still can lose time. And for an owner-operator or any trucker out there, honestly, time is money. And like I said, for a company driver, time is still money, just in a bit of a different way. That's why this assumption matters. Because when truckers out there are just assuming everything will always be fine, it doesn't just put you at risk of violations. It puts you at risk of longer scrutiny, if you will. I don't know if that's the best word to use, but that's the word we're going to use right now. Now, remember that driver I was telling you about earlier? So you're probably asking, what exactly happened to him? Well, let's talk about that. Just so you know, that driver did not get shut down. He definitely did have a longer day than he expected. He did have a deeper inspection than what he initially expected. And when everything was done, he said something that really stuck with me. This driver said, I didn't think it would go that far. And that sentence right there is the exact reason I'm sitting here making this video for all you truckers today. Because that's the trap. You really don't think it'll go far until one day it does. Now, here's what the best drivers do differently. They don't assume safety and they project readiness. They treat every single DOT officer interaction like it could expand, even if they believe and know that they are compliant. And no, it's not because they're scared, it's because they're professional. And after all, trucking is a professional career. They verify their paperwork before the stop becomes anything else. They stay engaged and clear. They ask smart questions when needed or whenever questions come to their brain. And they don't lean on, well, I was clean in the past, so I should be clean now, as their only defense. This is how they operate, and I've had many interactions with great drivers out there. They say things like, even if I'm good, I'm still ready at any time to prove that I'm good. That mindset alone can help to prevent that staircase from being climbed. So what do you as a driver do instead of that bad assumption that we talked about earlier? Here are just a few things that sound really small, but they can really help you. Number one, don't treat a DOT inspection stop like it's a huge inconvenience. Treat it like any other interaction that you control with professionalism. Number two, don't say, well, I've never had an issue before. Like if that's supposed to end the conversation. Replace it with a readiness statement like this. Here's my documentation and here's what I verified. Number three, stay engaged. Ask for clarity if you need it. Try not to argue. Not the, hey, remember you're on camera tough guy. Just normal stuff. And number four, like we talked about earlier, don't assume the scope. If it starts simple, great. But always be prepared for if it does expand. Because hear me out, if you are prepared, then you don't panic. And if you don't panic, you don't create new problems. Many people won't say this out loud. DOT inspectors don't always escalate because they expect to always find something. They can sometimes escalate when there's nothing in that interaction that convinces them not to verify more. And assumptions never convince anyone. Preparation, readiness does, and professionalism does. So next time you're rolling down the road and you tell yourself, whoops, I know I'm good because I always have been good. Pause and just replace that assumption with preparation, please. Because the drivers who avoid deeper inspections aren't just lucky. Many times they are super intentional. If this video helped you, share it with all your other trucking friends and all your other trucking buddies, because this mindset saves careers and time. Until next time, stay safe, keep rolling.